Hey geeks, I'm Trey Guillotine and you're watching Geekly Trends, where I give a few thoughts about some of the geeky trends that have happened in the past week. Director Shawn Levy has some big ambitions for the upcoming Uncharted film. But first... In an interview with IGN, Shawn Levy, the director of the upcoming Uncharted film, talked about his and Tom Holland's goals for the film. I'm reading this straight from the IGN article by Matt Davidson. Levy made it clear that he isn't interested in simply doing a straight-up adaptation of the games, citing his experience of bad or simply decent but unsuccessful video game adaptations, and says he and Tom Holland are both approaching the film from the same angle. By tackling what he calls the origin of Drake, Levy and Holland hope to be able to tap into the things that make the video game so successful. Action set pieces, imaginative settings, and the rogue swagger of Nathan, but telling a story that gamers haven't seen before. The crux of his vision for the movie, he says, a treasure hunting movie with attitude, and his ultimate goal is to create an Indiana Jones style franchise for a generation that didn't grow up on Indiana Jones. Yes! I finally get to talk about Indiana Jones. It's seriously my favorite film series, and Last Crusade is my favorite film of all time. Rivaled only by Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 and the rest of the MCU. So I'm so glad I get the chance to talk about Indiana Jones. Aside from his comments here, and the fact that Tom Holland is playing Nathan Drake, there is no other info about the film. But I think if Levy is taking an approach similar to Indiana Jones, I think this movie is on the right track. And I definitely had my doubts about Holland's casting. He's a great actor. At least I thought so in Spider-Man Homecoming. But I don't think anyone was hoping for a young Nathan Drake origin story. But if this is what we're getting, let's hope for the best. It's also interesting that he's saying that he wants to tell a story that Uncharted fans haven't seen before. So far in the games, we've only seen 2 instances where Nathan Drake was a kid. When he and Sam first started their journeys as the Drake brothers, and when Nathan stole Francis Drake's ring and met Sully. So there's a pretty large gap of time in Nathan's life that Levy could be looking to tackle. Given that Tom Holland will be Drake, I think we can assume that he'll be about high school age, from 15 to 18. Maybe a little older, like in his early 20s. Which means it would probably take place after both instances that we've seen Nathan as a kid. And Levy wants to tell a story we haven't seen before. So it's possible that the canon from the game still could hold true in the films. Nathan's life has so many adventures in it. It can easily be episodic, much like Indiana Jones, which we've seen practically his entire life from the films and the adventures of young Indiana Jones. Or Levy could completely recreate the canon of Uncharted for the films and be something totally new. But I don't think we'll see Nathan get Francis Drake's ring. He'll probably already have it like he did in the first game, Drake's Fortune. But I don't think we'll see Sam and Nathan at the beginning of their journeys. It's also very possible that we'll see other characters from Uncharted. Of course, like Sully. Sully met Drake when he was just a teenager. So if Holland is playing Drake a little older than that, there's a good chance we'll see Sully and the Drake boys on this adventure. But what about Chloe Fraser or Charlie Cutter? Or even Harry Flynn and Eddie Raja, the villains from the first 2 games that Nathan had a past with? While I think taking inspiration from Indiana Jones is a great idea, especially since Uncharted already takes so much inspiration from Indiana Jones, it shouldn't take too much inspiration. Indiana Jones at its core was inspired by old B-movie serials, where no matter what, the hero always wins. They always escape the tomb in the nick of time. Bad guy always falls. But already those same qualities are in Nathan Drake and Uncharted. Just a bit less corny and more realistic, which works for the modern day story. But the Uncharted film is going to have some competition in the upcoming Tomb Raider film, which looks to be closely based on the recent Tomb Raider reboots. And it's funny because I feel that Uncharted also takes a lot of inspiration from the Tomb Raider series. Of course, there has always been adventure stories, but I feel that Indiana Jones stands out as far as most treasure hunting stories goes. And Tomb Raider took inspiration from Indiana Jones and created Lara Croft. Lara Croft herself takes a lot of characteristics from Dr. Henry Jones. For one, she's an actual archaeologist. She's after the search for fact, not truth, even if that fact opens up to some supernatural elements. She's also a much more refined character. And as a professor and when putting on a tux to deal with gangsters, Indiana Jones has those same aspects of refinery. Especially since Indiana Jones was based off of James Bond. So when Uncharted and the character of Nathan Drake came out, I kind of felt that it was just the boy version of Lara Croft, which would just be Indiana Jones. Which makes sense, because while Lara Croft portrays the more refined aspects of Indiana Jones, Nathan Drake shows off his more rogue attributes. Indiana Jones is no thief, though I'm sure he's done his fair share of illegal activities on his adventures. He is still a charming, puckish rogue. So, in a way, Laura and Nathan represent the duality of the character of Indiana Jones, which is probably why I love both of these games so much. I really believe taking inspiration from Indiana Jones is starting this movie on the right track. And that's where I feel a lot of inspiration for Uncharted comes from, along with Tomb Raider. And I'm eager to see if Levy and Holland are able to break the trend of unsuccessful video game movies. When planning your next Wizard World Comic-Con experience, use the discount code GuillotineGeek online to get 10% off your ticket purchase. And use those savings to buy some merch or meet a celebrity. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and share it so others can join in the conversation. Check out my written content at guillotinegeek.blogspot.com. Support my future content by becoming a patron on my Patreon. And subscribe to my channel to geek out some more. Thanks for watching and have fun. So Captain America, Thor, Hulk.